Woodwork Geek back here again. This week another installment of the Felder FB510, and I'm creating a little push guide sprung loaded assist for keeping the wood pressed against the fence so my resawing is better. I start off by lining up where I want the guide to be and then mark the kind of center points I need those guides to be in, and then I use the kind of right angle square to mark the same position on each side so that I get an exactly parallel running line. I then use a center punch to mark the top just to make sure that the drill doesn't wander, and then drill through the top. I have to say I was very nervous about drilling through this top. I saved a long time to be able to afford this bandsaw, so putting 2 holes in it was a bit of a difficult decision for me, but I'm glad I did it. It has turned out really well, and the increase in kind of quality of the cuts that are made now is definitely worthwhile. So in terms of doing this, I'll go through with a pilot drill first. I just use the guide there to double check it's right. I get my tap and die set out, and then I get the correct tap and then the corresponding drill bit for that tap, and then open up the hole to the correct diameter for the tap. Once I've drilled those 2 holes, I then get the tap out, put the tap in the tap holder, and then I go through and slowly start to cut the threads into the top. If you've never done this before, the key is not trying to do the whole thing in one go. You turn the tap and then you turn it back and wiggle it like you can see me doing. So forwards a bit, backwards a bit, forwards a bit, backwards a bit, until that thread runs 3 and it just goes kind of like a thread should really. No serious friction, and just all the way through, which is what you can see there. Once the first hole is done, I then move on to the second hole, and then once that hole's cut, I'm ready to attach the kind of sprung loaded guide to the table. This uses 2 kind of knurled knobs to then tighten the actual guide against the table, and the friction of the knobs and the flat surface of the kind of mechanism then hold it tight against the table. I've been quite impressed with how tight it does hold it. I've done a few bits of resawing since making this modification, and it's been excellent. I really am very pleased with how it's come out. Here you can see me with a countersunk bit just cleaning up the top edge of that thread so there's nothing to get caught as I go through, and then I give it the finger test just to make sure there's nothing there that I can't see. On go the knobs, and just gently tighten them up and then nip them in just to make sure it all works, and then it's on for its first pilot test run. You see me just making sure it's in the right place. I think if I did this again, I would move the guide closer to the blade. My one kind of regret is that I kind of kept it level with the opening of the kind of plastic insert that goes around the blade, and I should have just got that kind of first wheel about a centimetre or so away from the blade so that it kept pressure longer through the stroke of stuff going through the blade. But that's the joy of kind of learning. You have to do things to make mistakes to learn to get better. So yeah, hopefully that will help someone else if they decide to go down the same path. Here I'm just testing it really just to make sure it works. So I put the piece of wood in, I push the guide against it, and then gently pull the levers out, and this is where I learn it's quite tight fit. And here you can see it making its first cut. So those wheels are spinning round and that piece of stock is going through, and I just pull it all the way through and I get my first cut, and I couldn't be happier. And here's a little bit more of a test. So this was the cut I made for an upcoming video, a watch box, and this cut was really critical. So this was the main kind of driver for putting this addition to the bandsaw. And as you can see here, I can then just concentrate on a constant feed rate through the blade without having to worry so much about the distance that the kind of piece against the fence is away. And as you can see there, that's a pretty good and flat cut, and I used the verniers just to double check, and I couldn't be happier with how that comes out. It was very, very good. You can see a close up there. Very pleased. Hopefully you liked this video. If you did, subscribe. Let me know if you prefer the shorter format, and I'll see you on the next one.